It'll, it's going to go straight. Yeah. There's the hat. There's that. Eric, just...
Alors, bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. Une des objectifs les plus importantes du gouvernement du Canada est de rendre le logement plus abordable pour tous les Canadiens et les Canadiennes. Et il y a huit semaines, jour pour jour, que le Premier ministre Ford et moi, nous avons conclu une entente à cet objectif. We cut the GST and the HST on housing for all home buyers. We came together at this agreement, Premier Ford and I, to cut development charges in half. So what does that mean? It means up to $158,000 of reduced costs for housing here in Ottawa. Since that time, and part of the reason we're here is to see the good work of EQ Homes, but since that time, this company, this development, has seen sales go up by 65%. Gives a sense of both the demand for affordable housing, but also the impact of these measures. En même temps, nous avons lancé en septembre Maison Canada avec Monsieur le ministre Robertson, et à ce moment-ci, nous avons conclu des accords, 14 accords, pour plus de 11 000 nouvelles maisons abordables, tellement abordables. Mais c'est pas vrai, hein? C'est plus maintenant. Alors, c'est plus de 14 accords et c'est presque 15 000 maisons abordables. So, Build Canada Homes started just back in September. A series of accords across this country, from Yukon, where the minister was yesterday, to Nunavut, where he will be later this week, to right here in Ottawa, where we agreed to build 3,000 affordable homes with the city of Ottawa. Overall, thus far, in less than 9 months, Build Canada Homes has concluded more than 14 accords, looking to build up to 15,000 homes just for those accords. There's a lot more in the funnel, so we're really getting the momentum there for this core objective of building affordable homes. So I just wanted to take the chance, and Marie-France, thank you for showing around your neighborhood, your riding, and I want to thank the builders and the developers of EQ for helping us fulfill this mission. So with that, I look forward to questions.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Marika Walsh with the Globe and Mail. Some critics are saying that the deal you struck with Alberta doesn't set a strong enough incentive for Alberta to stay in the program once it gets a pipeline, that they could easily just pay the $1.2 billion break fee and bail on the carbon pricing regime after they get a pipeline, similar to what we saw with Trans Mountain. How do you respond to that?
I'm not sure about the final point of your question there.
Well, the Trans Mountain pipeline, Trudeau approved it with the express intention of a carbon price and a cap on emissions. So
a couple of things. One is, let's start with the carbon price, which is that we have a carbon market in Alberta, and we have carbon markets across Canada that don't really work. They don't function as carbon markets. So headline prices, $95, $110, actual prices before we began these MOU discussions with Alberta, $20. So headline price 6.5 times, or effective price 6.5 times, where the market was trading at the time. So how do we turn something that was broken, didn't work, didn't achieve what was desired, into something that actually functions as a market? And there's several ways we're doing it. You referenced one of them. It's not a break fee, it's contracts for differences. These are contracts directly with entities that are building renewable power, clean power. So they're contracts. You don't break a contract as a government, certainly not in Canada. So that's $1.2 billion worth jointly between the two of us. The second thing we're doing is putting in place, Alberta has agreed to put in place a floor price starting from 2030. That will be a regulated floor. That means that credits cannot trade below those floor prices, and it's a rising floor. That will also contribute to the functioning of the market. I think the third thing I'd underscore is that This is an agreement. This is an agreement. It's not an MOU. It's not a memorandum of understanding. It is now an implementation agreement, a 50-page implementation agreement between the Government of Canada and the Government of Alberta. Governments, as I said a moment ago, in Canada respect their agreements. There is a desire to do several things, an intent to do several things, an agreement to do several things. That agreement includes building more conventional energy. It means developing a new industry, excuse me, of carbon capture, and it includes having a functional carbon market. And I will add one last thing, which that also creates the possibility of broadening that carbon market across Canada with willing provinces.
But that agreement expressly says that to get out of the deal, Alberta simply, or the federal
No,
government,
it does not expressly say that.
It says that it assumes sole liability. Alberta says that means they would have to pay $1.2 billion if they renege on carbon pricing. Is that not correct?
There are contracts for, I answered that question if I may already. There are contracts for differences which are struck for specific projects that would remove, projects to be determined that are going to remove or have low carbon and create, would otherwise create credits. That is part of several factors. That is one of several factors.
So there's no
that is part of the agreement. I think you might.
No break fee?
Next question.
Boris, pour le devoir, vous proposez une réforme du système d'approbation fédéral. Il y a 26 organisations environnementales du Québec qui disent que la paix sociale est menacée. Qu'est-ce qui vous fait dire que ça va...
D'approbation.
La paix sociale. Oui, le système d'approbation fédéral.
L'approbation pour les projets. Oui, je comprends.
Exactement, pour tous les projets. Les groupes environnementaux du Québec disent que ça risque de nuire à la paix sociale. Qu'est-ce qui vous fait dire que ça va accélérer les choses et que ça ne va pas créer des manifestations, des gens enchaînés aux arbres, des poursuites qui vont ralentir peut-être les projets?
Premièrement, nous sommes en des discussions avec le Québec afin d'avoir un accord d'un projet, d'une approbation. Et on a des accords comme cela avec la plupart des provinces. Et ça va créer la responsabilité, ça va clarifier la responsabilité, dans ce cas, du Québec, par exemple, de faire l'approbation dans la plupart des initiatives, des projets. Alors, c'est une efficacité, c'est d'avoir des approbations en même temps, pas en séquence.
Prime Minister, Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. What do you think of the referendum question that Daniel Smith has asked? How do you see your role in this debate, and what do you plan to do to campaign for Canadian unity?
Well, let me start at the end, which is I certainly will be campaigning for Canadian unity. I've begun that, and part of the campaign is not a campaign, but it's actions. It's practicing cooperative federalism with Alberta, with Quebec, with all provinces and territories in the country, with Indigenous peoples as well. So it's moving the country forward, but moving the country forward with agreements and with parties aligned. So finding that common ground so we can move. And that's what Albertans expect. That's what Canadians expect across the country. And I'm pleased that the premiers are buying into this and moving forward on a number of fronts. So that's the first thing. And if I may just refer to my previous answer with respect to cooperation agreements, including potentially with the province of Quebec, that is an example of that cooperation. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, being part of Canada brings many economic advantages, being part of our large market, being part of free trade agreements with 1.5 billion people around the world. But in the core, it's more than economic arguments, and I'm going to get to the first part of your question in a second. It's more than economic benefits, it's social. It's what we are as Canadians. So Canadians take care of each other. We take care of each other in our social programs. We take care of each other across different provinces. We look out for each other internationally, and this is a time where it's particularly important. What do I think of the question? In terms of the specifics of the question, we have an obligation as the federal government to look at the question and determine whether it's consistent with the Clarity Act that is underway. Ultimately, if there are questions around that, questions about the clarity of the question, if you follow, that would be a role for Parliament. I'm not saying that's the case, but we're just in the process of doing our due diligence. I will make the following observation though about the question, and it's this is an observation from experience. In these separation issues, it is often advanced that vote for this and it's a free option. Vote for this and we will strengthen our hand in a future negotiation. That is a very dangerous bluff. That is a very dangerous bluff. I saw firsthand what happened in the United Kingdom when the view was vote for this, it'll be soft, and then we'll negotiate, etc. And they ended up, and they're still 10 years later trying to undo what people didn't think they were voting for, but what they ended up having. Les Canadiens peuvent réfléchir sur les commentaires après les référendums au Québec. En ce qui concerne des questions qui sont OK, c'est le commencement de négociations, mais pour quelques-uns et quelques-unes, c'était le commencement de vraie séparation. So we have to be very careful about this. There's a very strong positive case for Canada, a strong Alberta in a united Canada. We're making it stronger, working together, and I look forward to making that case with many other Albertans and Canadians over the course of the next 150 days.
Imagine my colleagues in French would love to hear that.
Oui, juste en français plus longuement par rapport à la question. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la question, puis allez-vous faire campagne?
On réfléchit maintenant sur la question, c'est la responsabilité du gouvernement du Canada sur l'acte de clarté. Et il y a des questions sur la clarté des questions, c'est pas évident, mais on fait du travail maintenant. Mais s'il y a des questions, c'est la responsabilité du Parlement.
On va prendre 2 autres questions. Oui, Yasmine Média à Radio-Canada. En avril, il y a une quinzaine de vos députés qui vous ont écrit une lettre pour vous exprimer des préoccupations par rapport à l'entente avec l'Alberta. Ouais. Est-ce que vous trouvez que c'est une démarche constructive? Et si oui, pourquoi vous n'avez pas pris ces recommandations en compte dans l'entente?
Il y en a 160 autres députés dans le caucus du gouvernement, c'est la première chose. Deuxièmement, il y a des suggestions, des conversations, il y en a toujours. Dans une caucus propre, si je peux dire, oui, propre, c'est nécessaire, c'est important d'avoir des conversations, des idées, des échanges, mais il faut décider à la fin. C'est un accord avec Alberta et il y a des implications pour l'économie britannique, pour les peuples autochtones. Alors, il y a beaucoup d'enjeux. Il faut rendre compte de beaucoup d'aspects. Alors, et on a fait beaucoup de progrès. Par exemple, en ce qui concerne le climat avec notre stratégie de l'électricité qui a été dévoilée après ce lettre. Alors, on peut faire plusieurs choses en même temps. On peut rendre le Canada une superpuissance énergétique dans des énergies conventionnelles et des énergies propres.
English as well, please, sir?
Well, in a healthy caucus, you will always have an exchange of views, suggestions, and we have exchange of views of some members of the caucus perspectives. In April, of course, there's 160 other members of that caucus. We have to take decisions that are in the interests of the country, that reflect an agreement with the province of Alberta, the interests of British Columbia, the interests of Indigenous peoples, and also that looks at policy in its totality. And I mentioned in French the electricity strategy, which came out after that letter was sent, doubling our grid. We really underscored in that strategy the value of electrifying much of Canada, including obviously heating of homes and transportation, industrial production as well. Getting that right will have a huge impact on and a much bigger impact on our emission reduction. I would add as well our nature strategy, notre stratégie de la nature, $5 milliards, $5 million for a nature strategy, as well as one of the only G7 countries who's maintained its commitment, which we also did after that letter, maintained its commitment to international development finance. So you have to look at everything in the round. We do many things at the same time. We're moving forward on climate action. We're moving forward on making this country more affordable, the focus of today, and more sustainable and more prosperous for all. Thank you very much.
Hi, Prime Minister. Tom Parry with CBC. Can I ask you, when you met with Danielle Smith, Premier Smith, in Calgary, did you try to persuade her not to put a question of separation to Alberta voters in October? And I guess if I could ask as a second part, now that there is this question in place, how much uncertainty does it create for investors who want to put money into a pipeline or any other kind of project in Alberta?
Look, it's, I mean, the Premier has proposed this, the question and other questions with it. As I said earlier, Tom, we will look at, we will discharge our responsibilities, look at consistency of the question about a question, if I can put it that way, on separation, our consistency of that with the Clarity Act. So it is what it is. It's there. We have to discharge our responsibilities. As I said, look, the Premier doesn't always take my advice. But can I finish my, please? Look, is it helpful to ask these fundamental questions? No, it's not helpful. Of course it's not. Is it the democratic will of Albertans? Did they vote for this in the last provincial election? No, they didn't. It wasn't on the ballot paper. It wasn't in the mandates of or platforms of any of or of the governing party and the official opposition. It is what it is. It's. I'll repeat that. You know, the core approach here and reality is positive. There's tremendous strengths that Canada brings to Alberta and Alberta brings to Canada. We are absolutely stronger together. We're better together. We're better people. We're wealthier together. You know, my colleague Corey Hogan points out rightly that median wealth in Canada is 23% higher than the United States. It's not something people would think, but why is that the case? It's because we take care of each other. It's because we focus on things like affordability, because the people who live here will get childcare. The people who live here will get health care. The people who live here will get high quality education for their kids. If they're retiring here, they'll get OAS and GIS because Canadians take care of each other. It's not perfect. Can it get better? Do we need to continue to work together as provinces and federal governments? Absolutely. Are we making progress? The Alberta Accord is one of many examples. You'll see many, many more. What Minister Robertson is doing with Build Canada Homes is in concert with the provinces. $158,000 off homes. That is because of work between the federal government, province of Ontario. Similar things are going to happen across this country. One of many, many examples of how we're stronger together at a time when the world is under enormous, enormous pressure. And, you know, I'll finish with this, which is that you look around the world. I travel around the world. I see, and the world is in pain. Most countries don't think that they're headed in the right direction. Canada, with all our imperfections, challenges, Canadians think we are headed in the right direction. And part of the reason why they think they're in the right direction, we're headed in the right direction, is because we're Canadian, because we know we'll come together and we'll work to find a better way. And I'm committed, my government's committed to continue to do so. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Je n'ai pas compris en anglais.